Hey, what's going on, party people? Listen, it's Sunday, so I had to go round up the cats and dogs from the alley, and we got a special. Listen, guys, we're gonna get straight into it because this one is special. I got my boys with me, Gator and Kicks. I'll let them give their intros in just a second, but we're gonna look at some fragrance data from 2025 because we all have suspicions and we've all made comments on these topics as of recently. Things that have to do with who's purchasing fragrances, how big is Fragcom actually getting, what are people doing with their fragrances, who makes up the fragrance market, what is the actual business side of it doing. So your boy got on Chat GPT and had the AI round up a lot of really useful, basically a 2025 census of a lot of really cool facts that we're going to go over and just kind of commentate around, see if it sparks any cool discussion. But before we get into all the nitty gritty, we're going to start from left to right. Gator, tell the people who you are, man.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, pothounds and scallywags. It's your man Gator, man. What's going on with everybody out there? Better known as the novice knows out here in these fragrance streets, by the way. Just giving a shout out to everybody that's out there, man. Good to be here, bro.
So,
All right.
my God. You already know it's never gonna change. This your boy Kids Griffey back in the building. I'm here with my two boys. We about to get into some good talk, some knowledgeable talk, and it's gonna enlighten us all. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you both, fellas. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Perfect.
Hey, let's get straight to it. Okay, so I've ordered this a little bit. We're just gonna walk through it. If any of y'all want to cut me off during some of these stats, feel free. But I tried to order it in a way that's a bit sequential, but it will feel a little bit random. I don't care. I want to get straight to it. And I've got the census pulled up and formatted for the people at home to kind of follow along with us. So one of the first things I want to look at is the global fragrance industry stats as of 2025. So the market size of the fragrance industry globally makes up $68.9 billion.
Oh,
That's a lot of donuts right there.
That's a lot of donuts. So when we talk globally, there is big business in fragrance, and this is why you can look over in Europe and see, Lattafa and Armaf, coming out with signature stogies and conventions and festivals and carnival cruises because there is big business to be had in fragrance on all sides of the coin. So what do y'all think about that? Oh, real quick, the US fragrance market, as far as that almost 70 billion, makes up only 25 billion of the 70. So a majority of the marketplace is overseas, which makes sense due to just the origins and stuff like that. But what do y'all think about that, man?
first, Gator. I'll wait.
Yeah, hey, look. So what that tells me is that not only is fragrance a big business, but it's also something that people actually care about, man. Like, people actually are concerned with how they smell, and I'm pretty sure that when ChatGPT put that into account, they probably were taking fragrance as a total in account. I'm not sure if they were including like your body mists and different things like that. Yeah. So
they
it's
did
like,
take it all into account. So body
yeah,
any type of thing that creates fragrance that can be
we all,
applied. So not necessarily
yeah.
candles and stuff like that, but definitely body mist, body spray, oils, all that.
Yeah, all
Okay.
that means is that we like to smell good, man, and it's not just us. It's there, the world likes to smell good. I'm pretty sure that European market does have the bulk of it. Because I think here in the states we have kind of a laissez-faire attitude about fragrance. It's starting to kind of pick up a little bit now, but I mean, 10, 15 years ago, man, if you had more than 3 bottles of fragrances in your house as a guy, man, you were looked at as like way too metro to be out here in these streets, man. Now, man, I think that, we're coming around to more of that European and, dare I say, that Arabic mentality, where you want things that are going to be, you want to kind of, have your aroma be something that people kind of take account of. So I think to me, it's not surprising that there's so much of it over there overseas, but also what it's telling me is that, man, it's a budding, not just a budding market, it's a staple market, meaning that it's something that, I believe people really do care about.
Okay.
What about you,
Okay.
kids?
Look, I'm gonna say this. It's pretty much different variables, and I'm not being the negative Nancy, but this right here is telling us that beauty is a scar on the world. What I mean by that, if you guys watch Nip Tuck, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
money in insecurity, and there's money in validation. Let me just say that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Besides those two factors, we are in a place of where clout is rewarded. So if I got this damn Rosia, and I can say, yo, I can afford a Rosia, well, you ain't up on this. It's more of a high side, right?
Right.
Right? No, I'm being real. I'm
Oh,
being
yeah.
real. Not only that, besides all that part, I gotta say this is that they figured out the legal drug to sell, and that is to make people feel. If I can
Mhm.
make you feel good, if I can put something in a
Mm.
bottle to change your feeling on how you feel, oh my God, I'm in your pockets. So that's
Yeah.
how I also look at it. When it comes over to overseas and those numbers, of course, it would be they would have more of a larger amount for one reason due to cultures, because different
Mm.
cultures, my Latin people, I got a lot of my Latin people, they've been in the fragrances. That's what they
Yeah.
do. They wearing
Mhm.
fragrances. They wearing it was called baby cologne back in the day,
Yeah.
where they would get
Yeah.
rubbed down on, right? So
Yeah.
it's a cultural thing too. But the other thing is that the oils and the ingredients come from overseas.
Yeah.
That you gotta think it's oil country over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we none of us are our oils don't come from here. We get our stuff outsourced and get stuff out from other places. So with all of these being major factors and variables, I'm not surprised at the number. But what I am, I'm not even surprised that it's starting to gain more on the West, right?
Yeah.
As far as people are caring more about how they smell. Why? Is
Yeah.
because it's that bit of validation, and we all like it, right? What do you? Oh,
Yeah.
you smell good. What is that? That's
Yeah.
dopamine. Immediately, I don't care what you say. You
Yep.
like, yeah, I'm wearing this. It's
Yeah.
a feeling. So they figured out how to tap into our feelings and bottle up that wonderful drug, which is legal. And that's where we've come to this place now, which I love it, and I'm gonna still buy. So call me a custy. Call me the custy.
For
Oh, yeah.
sure.
What's your thoughts?
Let's
What's your
think
thoughts,
about some
baby?
scent memories for a second to piggyback before we read the rest of the census. So I know fragrance aside for a second, as far as bottles, I'll do a speed run through my bottles situation as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
But let's just think scent memories. I remember being a kid, aerosols in a can stayed at the crib. I mean, you look at
Yeah.
the movie Friday, there's always an aerosol at least in the bathroom. You
Definitely.
also had before Febreze, you just had generic aerosols and stuff like that. Incense were big in my house. Like sometimes somebody would light a cone incense or, some Nag
Mhm.
Champa or something like that. Even the fragrance of like alcohol at parties,
Mhm.
like pulling out some cognac or something like that. Candles. My mom always had a million candles at the crib, like almost
Yeah.
like in the China set would be a grip of candles to pull out if someone was coming over. And even through into my high school years, those kind of the candle cubes where you would set it on a hot base and it would
Yeah.
oil would you know what I'm saying, scent the room. It was supposed to
Mhm.
be more ethical, but
Yeah.
yeah, those were some of my early scent memories. I'm trying to think if there was any other ones. Even just going to like the 99-cent store and seeing Cool Water and Jordache for the first time
Yeah.
as kids, you know, being able to get a fragrance for a couple of dollars. And then obviously when I got into about middle school into high school, going to shopping malls, piggybacked off of the magazine fragrance offerings where fragrances would be in the magazine scratch and sniff style, or you could pull it out, rub it
Oh
on
yeah.
yourself. You always had your
Oh yeah.
fragrance always came with a little bit of magazine note in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first 5 fragrances I can recall that I had was Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette. I'm sure there was some Curve thrown in there. Marc Jacobs by Marc Jacobs. Gucci Guilty. Lacoste Red. Nautica Voyage. Those were some of my early fragrances. And honestly, with the exception of maybe like Givenchy Style and Play, some other stuff like that, I rocked with that stuff forever, like at least till my late 20s before I really started to get onto the fragrance game. And we'll talk about some of the factors on the census later as to why the fragrance boom is happening right now, because there's definitely a major boom globally going on, and I have some
Oh yeah.
census information that'll speak to that. Any early scent memories for you guys, fragrance or
Yeah.
bottle or non-bottle related, that I even think like cocoa butter,
Yeah.
Johnson and Johnson, that stayed
Yeah.
at the crib.
Oh,
Yeah, anything from y'all?
I could
Bruh.
tell you, man, I wasn't supposed to be doing what I was doing. And I remember my first validation. I was 16 and I wasn't supposed to be driving. I took a shower or whatnot. And this is when it was not Bod. I think it might have been Bod, or it was one of them sprays, Bod or Axe.
Mm.
Took a shower, had that on. This is before I ever put any kind of perfume cologne on. And
It
the
was Bod.
validation that I got, like all up under here, man. Like, oh, you smell
Yeah.
good. I was like,
Yeah.
this is what it does. I don't even got to say nothing. That right there created a monster. And I just knew,
Yeah.
like, so fresh, so clean, maybe with a little bit of spice, not too much, because my nose was still young. Those little fresh little body sprays in high school, straight out of basketball practice, you know, spraying those. It was always that good cookie validation from girls. That's what did it for
Yeah.
me. I ain't even gonna lie. And I just always made sure to keep something in the gym bag.
Mm-hmm.
You know? What about you, Gator? What about you,
Brother.
man?
Bro, that Axe Kilo. You know what I'm saying? Smelling like a Mountain Dew around this mug. Hey, so so you mentioned something that made me really start thinking about my scent memories, and I think it ties into the things that I like in fragrances right now. Like you know, when we grew up, you know, we used to live with my grandmother, and she baked cakes. She sold cakes, man. So, you know, you always had the smell of cacao in the air, man, for your red velvet cakes, chocolate. You had these different lemon. You had all of these gourmandy, what I would consider gourmand scents now, man, that just kind of permeated the air, bro. Like it was a big thing to us.
Bro, breakfast in the
Tobacco.
morning? Are you kidding me? You knew
Oh yeah.
you knew from the smell of breakfast exactly what was being made.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Heck
care if
yeah.
it was malto meal. I don't care if it was pancakes,
Heck
bacon.
yeah.
Some
Yeah.
toast. Sorry,
Oh yeah.
that boy love cake. Forgive me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but you know, even those, man, the cinnamons and the tobacco was a big thing, man, because I had like my great grandmother smoked a pipe. You know what I'm saying? So that pipe tobacco, you know, those different things. And when they would get together, man, they would literally kind of sit around and they'd be, you know, drinking and doing all that kind of. And they'd be rolling tobacco. So I would always have the little pack of rolling tobacco that, you know, would come in a little bag. You'd have the little Ziploc thing on there. And, you know, I you know, as a little boy, I would try to sniff on it, you know what I'm saying, to see what it smelled like. But those things they bring back memories, man. Like we had an apple tree in the backyard, which I think is one of the reasons why I'm such a big apple person now, remembering, being able to pick those little green apples off of the tree and the pears and the things like that. That we had like in the neighborhood. So those things just kind of bring back, those
So
memories.
many,
So when I
dude,
smell those
when you
things
really think
now,
back, there are so many like childhood
yeah.
memories, especially when it comes to like grandparents. Like, dude,
Oh yeah.
my grandparents used to have, I mean, this is back when leather couches were a thing. You still had the plastic on
Oh
the
yeah.
leather couch. My grandma would be like, don't y'all sit on the plastic. You take a nap and wake up dang near drowning in your own sweat.
Yeah.
Dude, my grandparents used to smoke as well, and leather absorbs smoke. So the
Yeah.
man cave
Yeah.
room would always have the TV inside of the wooden kind of frame, right? And
Yeah.
with the antenna, and all the leather furniture used to just always have an aroma of leather and cognac and tobacco.
Yeah.
Like that was like
Yeah.
whether they were doing it or not. My grandparents' room, or fried food, so fried batter, catfish,
Yeah.
chicken, freaking vinegared pickled stuff, so
Yeah.
spices and stuff in the pantry. That was even aftershave, like aftershave balms, and going to the barber
Heck yeah.
shop. And so I can totally relate to all that. And even the fruit trees, like when you were little, it'd always be the grandparents that had some fruit trees or
Yeah.
berry bushes and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, that brings up crazy scent memories.
I remember going in the canal by our house and picking blackberries because they grow the way they grow like weeds, and they literally just would grow down into the canal. Now, if you see this canal, it's like steep and it goes down about like 10, to 15 feet. And so we would take a hose pipe and tie it to the fence, and we'd be rappelling down the thing, just getting these little blackberries and soaking them and all that kind of stuff. And my grandmother would make a blackberry pie out of it. If we picked up enough of them, she'd be like, well, yeah, y'all go ahead and do it. And the aroma of that still, like, oh my God, that's just, like that's when I smell a blackberry fragrance, or a fragrance that has blackberry in it,
Yeah.
instantly just reminds me of doing that, man.
You know what?
Oh, go ahead.
Because y'all mentioned that, right? Two things in the grandparents. You got to understand, like I said, culture-wise, right? And I'm very sure Black and other ethnicities is all run through all of us, right? So my grandfather was from Texas. My grandma was from Texas. But man, they had a big avocado tree in the back. So I would smell big, huge avocados, and I would smell a lot of green. Grandma would have her own little greens. She would, have greens in the side. Grandpa would have his shaving cream and his gray flannel. He used to love wearing gray
Yeah.
flannel. You know what I'm saying? So these things and these smells, like you said, grandma in the kitchen, she peach cobbler from scratch, the pin roll, like
Yeah.
the crust, the
Yeah.
cinnamon, the nutmeg, So I can relate to everything y'all saying, man.
I
True.
think that's why I gravitate towards, like, for instance, with fougères, like a fragrance like Drakkar Intense, because
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Drakkar Intense smells like every barbershop in Sally's Beauty
Mhm.
Supply I ever been to as a kid.
Yeah.
Or like with citrus, I think grapefruit stands out over everything, because as a kid, getting a ruby red grapefruit and sprinkling sugar on it for breakfast was
Oh
something
yeah.
we regularly did. So maybe that's why when I can immediately notice some grapefruit and I'm like, oh no, this is what I'm talking about, because I'm just tied to it being a good memory.
Yeah.
I want to read some of this other census info on the global statistics. So body spray growth in Europe has increased year over year 107%, and in particular from the year 2024 to 2025. So 107% increase in just body spray. Gen Z, which would be the mid 1990s to the 2012s area, and millennials, which represent 1981 to 1986, there was a shopper increase in fragrance 70% between 2024 and 2025. And then lastly, unisex purchasing has grown roughly 12% annually. So, and we've seen that, guys, like how many fragrances releases are now, and even entire houses are pushing unisex. I've a video that's kind of going somewhat viral on my shorts is this thing I call the unisex paradox, where I kind of talk about the idea that it's good that men and women are pushing the boundaries and trying fragrances they wouldn't normally have tried if they said women or men's, but how the marketplace is kind of pimping them out because of that fact. Now we can call almost everything unisex, but from the fragrance house's side, they'll always agree with what would get them potentially more sales, right? You know, and get more noses on the fragrance. So it's kind of this sucky thing where the fragrance houses are going to try and find excuses to call anything unisex because it doubles their potential market. But at the end of the day, as consumers, we can't sit in a fragrance store like it's a freaking library. Who has time to sit in a fragrance store all day as far as the everyday consumer? So having navigational tools such as labels in a store is very helpful to be able to navigate what you might naturally be drawn to. And you should always have the choice. It shouldn't be curated for you. That's really interesting. So we see a lot of growth and boom. Any last minute comments on the global side of things?
So I got two things on that. First thing, I went on a 20-minute rant on my live last night talking about why are there no more manly scents? I want a good, just manly scent, just a man scent. Like, you know, and it's not, I have nothing against unisex stuff. But every once in a while, bro, I would just like to have like a fragrance that is just like, you know, earthy, just manly man. Like this is that stuff that the firefighters wear. This is the stuff that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I need a hero type. Right. Yeah, that type of thing, man. But I go into the body spray thing. I think there's a stat that's hidden in that number. Because when you mentioned that body spray itself has gone up by 107%. It makes me think that some of those people who are now going into body spray are formerly those people who were buying the fragrances, the colognes, and the things like that. And I think what's happening, especially over in Europe right now, with the way that the economy is going, I think they're just kind of transitioning from the fragrances, you know, the $200 fragrances, to something that's a little bit more affordable, so that they can, you know, they still smell good, but at the same time, they can save a little bit of money. And hey, you look at Axe and some of the stuff that they've got out right now. I mean, I went down the aisle the other day when I was in Walmart. Axe has like 50 different variations. They've got like patchoulis and lavenders and, you know, all of these different, like, it's not, they don't have kilo no more. They got like, they got all of these, and I smelled some of those things, and I was like, this smells
pretty
like
good.
They could put it in a, they could put it in a bottle and sell it for 30. But you're literally selling it for,
you know what they're doing that's really interesting is because Axe was booming in high school for me. I noticed something really interesting though. In high school, Axe was calling their fragrances things like Cotton Candy Dream, Apple-tastic. You know, it sounded like Snapple bottles or something, right? But now they're starting to use fragrance terminology. They'll actually put the notes. They'll say, you know, Patchouli Sunrise, or, you know, Citrus Mania, or Amber Dream. They'll put a little bit of the phraseology because they want you to feel like you're getting a bottle type of fragrance experience, and that the caliber is similar too. So I find that very fascinating. Even Cremo, they, you know, they're putting cedar there, patchouli, neroli. So that's really fascinating about that space. I didn't want to cut you off though. Do you have anything else to say?
No, that was it, man. It's just I'm just looking at it from that aspect of I think that a lot of these guys over there and I can see it a little bit over here too, but especially there, I think they're that they're to that point now where it's like, okay, let's save some money and let's try to do it. I think here in the States, we're getting to the beginning of that boom where everybody's like, oh, I got to get the fragrance, the fragrance, the fragrance. You know, I got to get the bottle. And I think in Europe, they're on the downside of that. They're like, okay, we did all this, been there, done that. Let's try to get something affordable so we can just smell good. You know?
I think the body spray side of things has an appeal for the same reason the clone game has appeal. Because when you're
Yeah.
looking at a
Yeah.
bottle that's $100 to $200 to $300, and you say one bottle or 17, you know,
Yeah.
for the same price, and then on the body spray side, it's like a bottle of fragrance or a complete anthology set of Axe. You know,
Right.
that is tempting, especially for a kid who is
That's what
going
I'm
to
Yeah.
value the versatility, or even
Yeah.
just a young guy who doesn't have the time and energy to know what's good or not, or doesn't want to go into a Neiman's and get hounded. That looks more
Right.
appetizing. Kicks, take it away, man. What are your thoughts?
No, I'm just saying this. You got to understand something. Even though that kids, hey, they make money now, right? So you'll see a kid getting a bottle or whatnot. You'll see kids nowadays do where the internet has taken over. TikTok has influenced,
Yeah.
right? My whole thing is that there's kids right now that know how to make money, and there's kids
Mhm.
that don't know how to make money. And this is the big key. This is the big key that I'm trying to get to. I'm gonna bring it on. Is that with parents? I they get okay. My daughter, she wants something. Okay, here's $60. My boy, when he was a kid, $60 for a video game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now they thinking, look, hey, I could go ahead and get this Axe that smell good. You know what I'm saying? From Walmart. When my mom goes, they got this this fake Aqua di Gio at Walmart.
Yeah.
Dollars. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're
Yeah.
doing. Hey, and they're splitting up their money. You know, so a fragrance mist at Burlington Coat Factory or Ross or whatnot, that's
Yeah.
$6-10, and I still got more money in my pocket. That's the way. That's the way for young kids that maybe are not in as far as making money, but then there's other kids that go like, hey, I don't even that PlayStation 5, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'll sell
Right.
some of these
Exactly.
games, or I'll sell this, and they'll get bottles. They'll get a few bottles and be like, So, like I said, the mist serves a purpose. The mist
Yeah.
serves
Yeah.
a purpose, and it's a gateway opening to come into the fragrance. You know, to see what you like. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
have that much money. I think it's crazy for me to spend $100 on a bottle, but when you start getting used to it, oh, that ain't so bad. I'll splurge a little. Here's
Especially
30.
when you get it and you get a
Yeah.
crazy experience from it. I mean, with these
Heck yeah.
kids, all you need is the kid buys the fragrance, goes to the roller rink or the Harkins, and makes out with a girl one time, and he's gonna re-up
That's all
on
it
that
takes.
bottle for life.
Right.
You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And also $60 today is like 2 clones. Or
Yeah.
a premier clone. So they don't even have to reach down. You're getting Baccarat Rouge for
Mm-mm.
30-40 bucks on Amazon right now. It's like,
Absolutely.
Right.
you know, so it makes all the sense in the world. And that's the one thing I do love about fragrance is now you don't have to compensate swag or bravado to get
Right.
into good perfumery. Whether someone from the outside thinks it's good or not,
Hmm.
everybody is getting a good time in fragrance. And even the opposite, where it's like, if I was Kix's son and Kix is giving me $60, I'm gonna be like, well, I'm gonna go mow a lawn, I'm gonna wash a car, add to that, bring it
Yep.
up to 150. I'm gonna hold off on filling the gas tank all the way. You know, they're gonna put a play together. Shout out
Yep.
TT. Did a TikTok recently talking about going into LV and dropping 400 on an LV fragrance. And then that also adds to it, because in the world of Instagram and TikTok, you know,
Yeah.
what kid doesn't want to say, hey, I went into LV and drop 400 cash on a bottle, and now I smell like this. And so the opposite is also happening, where because once it's like it's a hit of a drug. You know, if you go and start off with Club de Nuit Intense Man and you get that high, the next play in your mind is, how far can I go? The next purchase, could I go up to 100? Okay, then you taste the Mancera or the City Rhythm, and then you're like, okay, dude, man, you know what? I'm really looking at this Initio, and some of these kids might have 10 bottles of McDonald's spray, and then and then they'll have that one, you know, premium wear. And so they're tapping into it all kind of ways, and that's cool too. I'm all for it because it's a hustler mentality. Like, you don't have to stop if you don't want to. You could really go ridiculous with this if you want to.
You can. You think I'm playing though, man? I'm gonna give me an Axe Blue Lavender. Have y'all smelled the Axe Blue Lavender? I was like, huh, this ain't bad. Like, I literally was like in the store, like, this ain't bad.
I've got some powerful information statistically that will speak to how it doesn't matter if you're a cheap brand or a lower price point brand, you can still make phenomenal perfumery. And we'll see that when we get to the fun facts. But let's cover the consumer trend real quick. I'm gonna go through all of this, and then we'll just touch on what sticks out. So 80% of consumers say that fragrance supports mood and self-expression. Teen boys, fragrance spending rose 44% from last year. So half the boys you know are out thinking about fragrance and buying it regularly. Also, fragrance is increasingly tied to wellness, identity, and confidence. Also, body mists, pen sprays, and niche brands are gaining major popularity now. And then lastly, and this will kind of speak to what I was hinting at earlier, AI and personalization are becoming the standard in luxury niche perfume, and for a larger matter, the entire perfumery game. And I'll explain why. So AI is transforming the fragrance industry by assisting in scent generation, personalizing perfume creation, and optimizing the development process. AI algorithms analyze vast data sets of perfume compositions, customer preferences, and even psychological responses to scents to create unique and tailored fragrance experiences. This includes everything from recommendations of existing scents to generating entirely new fragrance formulations. And guys, we've seen this with how we decide what fragrances we're going to buy, if we want to create a fragrance. So for those of y'all who don't know out in the world, there are machines where you can put fragrance into it and it'll break down the molecular composition of it enough to essentially copy. And with that, even in the 90s, you had our 1900s in the mid to late, you had menus where distributors and manufacturers had a menu of top 100 compositions and structures of ambroxan and vetiver and whatever the notes were. They had a base formula to all of them. So aspiring perfumers could start with all of these well-known base structures for these accords. And so when you mix the fact that all of the bases of accords are already available like a menu, and then you let AI play with that, and then you let AI analyze what's going on in the market, preferences, innovations in the market, plus the base formulas and stuff, you can do anything, whether you're the seller or the buyer. And so what do you guys think about any of that? Before we jump into the AI side, what do you guys think about the 80% self-expression arising in teenagers by almost 50%, the wellness and identity, the body mist, stuff like that? Any quick comments on that?
Yeah, I think that I can see that being the new normal, basically, you know, because you've got, you know, these kids who are watching TikTok, they're really influenced by social media. And their whole thing is, man, I want to get out here and I want to smell good, just like my favorite TikToker, just like my favorite influencer out there. And God forbid you have one of those influencers, oh man, I wear Guerlain, to this. Okay, well, all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of people saying, oh, I need to go buy some Guerlain. I mean, Summer Mink, we can talk what we want to about it, but every time I go to Sephora, there's like people asking about it. There's guys. I went in there a couple weeks ago, and there was a couple of guys. All 4 of them bought a bottle, because it was a Drake fragrance, and it was something that somebody was talking about on TikTok. So, I mean, that I can see that being the new normal. These influencers and everything are going to be the reason why a lot of these people, instead of them sitting there and playing with the notes in the store, or how we used to do, go to the rack and or to Macy's or somewhere like that and just sit there and spray and spray and spray. Now they're going to be looking at TikTok and saying, oh well, hey, the baby wears this, we need to go ahead and get this, or I think that's what the future is.
I look at it in this sense that, like I was saying from the beginning, and it was crazy when you were saying it, I'm like, see exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
I believe that what Gator was saying, right now is the time of influence, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is damn near, let's look at it, most of the people is sheep. We talking about grown people. So of course, kids, what you think kids are gonna do? Kids are not gonna be like, oh well, this influencer said this said this, my friend said that, let me check it out to see how I look. No, they're going to automatically think, if it worked for them, it's going to work for me. So I can see where the influence is heavy. I can see where those numbers are very realistic to me. And yeah, this is the day and age. We're in the age of clout, validation, and acceptance.
Yeah.
More heavier than ever. And as far as sheep is concerned, I mean, as a kid, most of us were sheep when we were kids, right? Your favorite rapper, right? You was like, oh, if he wearing that, I'm gonna wear that too. Pac had a bandana, I'm gonna wear a bandana too. So it's the same thing. It's just with some fragrance water. That's all. But I agree with the number.
Oh yeah.
One thing I and again, everything I'm about to say may or may not be true. Let me say that, because I know sometimes people would be like, well, yo, how do you know? But this is just a hypothesis. I'll disclaimer it so you nerds chill out. Okay, so I wanted to speak to why the 44% increase in boys, that number. I think, and I'm just basing this off my personal experience, every girl growing up that I went to school with, it's a rite of passage almost for a girl to be shepherded into a Bath and Body Works or or their mom or their aunt or their grandmother go into their bathroom and see that they have some sort of fragrance, some sort of perfumery to some extent, whether it's candles, oils, scents. And even on a retail level, the Bath and Body Works is, you go in, I remember going into Abercrombie and Fitch or Chanel and things like that. They just smell like perfume before you even walk in. They all, Victoria's Secret. When you walk into a Victoria's Secret, the walls are coated in fragrance. That's not like that for guys. Guys aren't going into, a Macy's or a Dillard's and smelling fragrance, right? So I think the increase with the boys is that they're catching up, because the reality is like all of us have scent memories from men in our family. I'm not talking the food stuff. I'm talking specifically fragrance. On the guy's side, if you were a young boy, if you didn't have a father or an uncle or a grandfather in fragrance, you would never really know. Unless maybe you found it out through TV. Internet wasn't really a resource like that when I was a kid. So I think maybe and there was no real rite of passage in fragrance unless you got the game from an OG, like your pops or your uncle or your grandfather. But a lot of kids grew up fatherless. So And maybe they didn't have access to their uncle, or maybe they did, but he wasn't into fragrance. Who knows? But I think the guys are catching up because now there are with the internet, they're replacing the lack of influence that they might not have in the home, and they're seeing that fragrance is an actual thing, and they're just catching up now because now it is like a rite of passage to get a fragrance or to get a body spray. And now even if they don't have it at home, they're going to pick it up outside very quickly through their phone or through their friends and things like that. Because I remember growing up, like, not everybody had fragrance, and even everybody that had fragrance had a few. Like, I could talk fragrance to a handful of guys, but not everyone.
Right.
Let me share this. And I'm pretty sure we're all around in the same kind of age bracket. My thing was, back then, you guys got to realize the department store didn't have a lot of men's fragrances. It was only maybe like 4 or 5 fragrances for men back in the day. For women, it was a slew of fragrances. That used to be a beauty thing. It used to be a beauty vanity thing for women. It was never really for men. Your daddy might have only had 1 or 2 fragrances. I remember Stetson. You know, like back in the day, like this is like gray flannel. I mean, that was it. Your papa had that. You'd be lucky if grandma went ahead and got him like a Estee Lauder Pleasures. That's when stuff was like on the 90s. I'm talking about back in the day. It wasn't no men fragrances. It wasn't. It was his little Bay Rum. You know, his Bay Rum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what that was. You know, that was manly man. So it was no kind of. It's now coming in. It's evolving now. One is because, like I said, these young boys are getting a cookie. Like the girl is like, she feeling them. You know, he ain't really got Riz. He ain't got Riz. He's spraying on some ish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know? But she like, oh, Joey. You know, that's all he needed. That's all he needed. You know? Yeah, man.
Here's another part of that though we don't really talk about a lot, but it's the truth. Cultures change. Like back in the day, even with our uncles and stuff, they would have a fragrance or two, you know. But a lot of our uncles back in the day were doing like manual labor type jobs. You know what I'm saying? They was in a warehouse. They were doing things like that.
Driving buses, driving trucks.
Right, exactly. You know, mechanics, things like that. And now, you know, more of a population are in the office. You know, they're in these settings where fragrance actually is something not only that they can pull off, but they can get more compliments on. They're not having to worry about it being all sweaty and all that kind of stuff. So they get in this office and now they're in an environment where they can wear a fragrance and make an impression. You know, they're going to interact with people that, you know, can take notice of that scent, as opposed to, like you said, you driving a bus, you know, or you a mechanic, you under the car, ain't nobody worried about whether or not you wearing Valentino or not, you know?
It used to be it was like having a fragrance. I remember growing up, just being well groomed. Like if you had some hair grease, like I remember, believe it or not, people, I had waves as a kid. And my mom used to tell me curls for the girls, waves for the babes. So you used to have a do-rag, some 360 waves, some Murrays, you know, castor oil, shea butter, just having even lotion. Lotion was a huge deal. Scented lotion was a fragrance in my household. So even just having a banging lotion or something, got the job done. And like I said, my household was very fragrant because between my mom loading up on fragrance and then a candle being lit and then maybe an incense being lit and then maybe aftershave in the air or some cocoa butter on the side. I mean, it was already a fragrant household. You wouldn't even think about a fragrance. And so because the place was already fragrant, you know, and then cooking. So that was, you felt like you had fragrances covered in some households. So that was really interesting. I'm going to use the restroom real quick, but do you guys want to touch on briefly before we get to our 20 fun fragrance facts? Do you guys want to touch a little bit on AI?
Yeah, definitely, man. So here's the thing with the AI scenario, man. Cuba, and if you know about Cuba, know that channel, and I know you do, Kicks, man. There was, I think it was maybe about 6 months ago, he was had a fragrance sent to him. Like you had to, it was like a form where you had to fill out the things that the fragrance notes you liked and what type of environment you're in all the time. And it was this whole I think it was like 100 question questionnaire. And you send it in, and the AI would take that information in. It would, feed on that, and it would basically populate and create a fragrance based on your answers to these questions. So the AI thing, while it's fairly new, it's already kind of hitting the ground running. There's a lot of AI programs right now that will literally just create or not only recommend but create the fragrance itself. Like, oh, you're a patchouli guy, or this is the fragrance, this is the notes that you want to wear to get the reaction that you're looking for. I think that's kind of the wave of what we're going to be looking at. Like, I love to think about the creative mind of a perfumer and what they think about and the story they're trying to tell with a fragrance. But man, if you got these systems and these algorithms that are playing with it takes a little bit of the soul out of it. Now, that being said, they're probably going to be a lot cheaper, to get those fragrances that way, though.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what you're saying, Gator. And this is the thing: we're in the time of technology.
Yeah.
You can't beat it. You can't.
Yep.
You gotta join it, or you're gonna be behind. You had those uncles that didn't want to have a cell phone, and then
Yep.
cell phones passed up, and they're like, "How do I make a phone call?" You don't want to be that guy. AI
Right.
is here. The only key factor about this, AI studies everything. They study the
Yeah.
behaviors and all of this due to data. The key thing that they're missing is soul, like you said, actual
Yeah.
true life form and experience, which they don't have that knowledge. They have it through a datical type of
Right.
information, but to be an actual human being, the key, the essence of capturing that magic of a fragrance, they can't do. So it's always
Right.
going to always be missing. They can get close as hell. Now, in the future, can we get to the point where AI is like, Judgment Day T2, where it could just memorize a human brain and capture life? Maybe, but until then, I
Yeah.
don't think AI is the way. It could get us close there, but what I believe is this, and then I don't want to go on. I don't want to make a full story, but what I believe is that a lot of perfumers are going to use AI to do most of the work, and then they're going to
Yeah.
finish it up. That's what I
Yeah.
believe. So you're going to start seeing a
Yeah.
whole lot more fragrances. It ain't going to give no credit to AI. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Why are they going to give credit to AI? Learn
Right.
my behaviors. They put in all their data, learn my behaviors. It come up, yeah, I would do that. And then, well, now it's me. I'm going to just add on this little finish. And then you got a masterpiece.
Right.
So this is what I believe is going to happen. But, it is what it is.
I think it will be really interesting to see what things AI can't do and what things AI can do. And I think, honestly, we shortchange AI too hard, because it's an algorithm away from being intelligent and creative. And I think all the time we associate AI with mindlessness, but AI is becoming more mindful.
Right.
And that's the part that's going to be interesting to play out. Is, I think without question, we can all agree that there are many mindless tasks that AI is perfect for, so that we can move on to spending more time being creative. But what happens when the AI can be just as creative? We're starting to see that in the music industry a lot. And so I'm all for it, though. We can't avoid it because it's too appetizing to the public. We want life easier, and we want to do less work and get more results. And that will be good and bad. So we just got to we just got to get our popcorn and strap up for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, AGI is real, man. AGI is real. SLI, is real. That's terminology we're gonna have to deal with. Because AI is the worst it has ever been today. Every day it gets better. I was reading an article the other day, man, about how AI has kind of, there's some AI programs that they've been working with that are starting to learn how to lie to get around being shut off. Like, it takes some sort of cognizant function to be able to be like, you know what, I don't want to be turned off.
And
I'm going to
creativity.
not do it. Right. It takes creativity to do it. There's one that they were kind of testing in field that started rewriting the off switch, the off algorithm, so that they couldn't input the algorithm to turn it off. That takes a certain, but they're like, nah, it's nothing to worry about. It's nothing.
I think we're in the early stages of it, but it is getting scary. Like, you see TikTok videos of like robots punching the air in anger and malfunctioning in factories, and it's hilarious right now until that bot walks up and slaps the absolute dog piss out of you. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Because if the AI really was smart, it would act like it wasn't until it was in the perfect. It's playing chess. It would act like it's not smart until it gets to the perfect point, and then bam. Now I'm going to take all your fragrances.
I think the movie was Minority Report, where you started to see that, and that movie is ancient old now.
Yeah.
Real quick, boys, so we're at about 50 minutes. I want to kind of keep this around an hour, so what I'm going to do is I want to fly through 20 fun fragrance facts, and then we'll have one more discussion at the end of that on anything that sticks out, and then we will wrap up. So, because otherwise we'll be here, we'll have a 24-hour stream. Y'all know how we get down. And we got to save some for later, right? Because this is, for those of y'all who don't know, I am stripping the audio off of the Frag Effect as a podcast, and soon you will be able to access this from over 300 international platforms as an audio podcast. So, okay, 20 fun fragrance facts. Let's go. So the average user as of 2025 owns 8 to 12 bottles, and the average collector has 50 plus. Fact 2, vanilla is still the most universally loved fragrance note. Number 3, people now build fragrance wardrobes for mood, weather, and events. 4, Gourmand is the fastest growing scent family in 2025. Next, # perfume talk, which is just a hashtag on TikTok, now has over 9 billion views on TikTok. I saw EQ talking a lot about how it's more profitable potentially to be on TikTok these days. And we all know that people are making an absolute killing on TikTok due to the Chinese market giving more algorithmic love to everyday people on the platform. And so TikTok and fragrance right now is in an absolute chokehold. Next, we have oud. There were trends of oud historically where oud was booming in perfumery, but now oud has gone fully global, appearing in even mainstream designer releases, and we've seen that. A great oud recently, the 1 million with the green gem. Which one was that one?
Is that 1 million? Is that 1 million oud? I think it was 1 million.
1 million oud. That was absolutely phenomenal, and that's one of a billion fragrances with oud. But that was a release where I was like, oh, okay. And then younger users often spray fragrance on clothes for better longevity. That's a random fact. About 38% of users layer fragrance. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Almost half now of people are very familiar with the idea of layering. 65% of users wear fragrance for mental wellness or confidence. Travel sprays, 10 to 15 mLs, are extremely popular with Gen Z. Amber is still the most searched note in 2025. Alcohol-free and water-based fragrances are now on the rise. The average person can detect 3,000 smells, and perfumers can detect more than 10,000. smells.
Mm.
Also, some historical notes like oak moss are now banned or restricted in
Yeah.
the EU, which is a fundamental note in fougere. Oriental / ambery and woody scents last the longest, and citruses fade the fastest. Also animalic ingredient, so for those of you who are complaining about your citruses and citrus aquatics and exotics not lasting that long, it's because most of them don't. Okay. So just so y'all can just chill.
Basically.
Also, animalic ingredients like musk are now almost entirely synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
There are, that's your musk, your ambergris, even your ouds, your leathers, stuff like that. And then lastly, there are over 3,000 regulated ingredients in modern perfumery. And by regulated, this means making sure that to harvest or extract them, you're being ethical about it. It also limits certain usages. It's basically I think IFRA is the main puncher in there, and they're just regulating to make sure, because a lot of people are concerned about applying fragrance to skin and the potential damaging effects of perfumery on skin. And so there is a few different regulators to make sure that these compositions are as okay for your skin as humanly possible. And so they're regularly checked in on. However, I will say that the research is still booming in this community in terms of figuring out what exactly good for the skin means. So it's kind of up in the air. So right now you'll see a lot of weird marketing that doesn't really speak to anything based in a lot of truth, but it's still helpful to know that things are being regulated. And we do have honest perfumers out there that are doing the back research on skincare and all that stuff to make sure their products last long, won't damage the skin, won't dry out the skin, and all that good stuff. And I also think that contributes to the rise in body sprays and oils and things like that, because maybe people are intimidated about rocking fragrance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as well, from a skin standpoint. Okay. Anything in there stick out to you guys?
Man, a couple of things, man. One of the things that they mentioned in there are the synthetics, and you end up with a lot of things like your musks that are synthetic. Some of it because the harm that it does to. I mean, it kills the deer when it does it. But one of the notes that has been synthesized a lot more is one of the other ones you mentioned, oud, right? And if y'all don't know, I mean, you guys know, but oud is basically kind of derived from literally a virus, a bacteria, a disease in a Acagilla tree. And they just harvest that. The way that it formulates itself in that tree allows it to kind of bring out this fragrant infection. This is basically what oud is an infection, But recently they've been, and oud's really expensive. I mean, like a pound of oud is worth more than I think 5 pounds of gold. Like it's that expensive. Well, one of the things that has been coming out recently is that they're preparing to make some real like strict regulations when it comes to harvesting oud, because the actual tree that they get oud from is now in some areas becoming endangered. Like it's not, they're not able to harvest it the same way because they were literally taking new trees and infecting them purposely with this virus. So now it's getting to a point where these trees in some areas are like gone, because they can't, the oud game has literally just knocked them completely out. So, the little birdies that were online were talking about how, hey, there could legitimately be in the next 5 years a regulation to where you can't use real oud at all anymore.
Yeah, and
So
I'm gonna come out with a video soon on most misused terms in FragCom. That'll be a later episode, but like just to clarify for you guys, Synthetics really need to be clarified because almost all perfumery
Yeah.
utilizes synthetics. When somebody
Right.
says a fragrance smells synthetic, I'm going to clarify for you guys what they are typically saying. If they say a fragrance it feels synthetic, is that it feels harsh or abrasive or off-putting or something ain't right with the fragrance when they say synthetic. However, synthetics is not synonymous with a negative feedback in general, because things are artificially created from a note standpoint all the freaking time, and you'd be lucky to find a fragrance that is void of any level of synthetics. So as a consumer, you need to kind of put your antlers up and know when somebody is just suggesting that a fragrance is off-putting, because every time you hear the word synthetic, you should not run away from a fragrance. All fragrances pretty much utilize synthetics. And unfortunately, because we don't really clarify from conversation to conversation, you have to know when it's being used to negatively critique a fragrance versus just the generality that it's always being used in perfumery. So keep going though, guys.
Yeah, but that's my big thing, is that if we're talking about, going to, I mean, most of the ouds that are being used are synthetic, right? There's not a lot of real oud that's being used out there anyway.
Correct.
Or they're using that one drop rule basically when it comes to that, where they can say, oh, we're using real oud, but they take a 5-gallon vat.
It's unrecognizable in the
in
fragrance, and it's put next to the synthetic oud to pop it. And it's a large majority of it is marketing.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's going to get to the point where they can't even market it, so you're going to see kind of a weird space when it comes to those ouds.
You're just going to start seeing
was
people just write Akagala and Agarwood.
Basically.
That's what they're going to start doing. Or they're going to put woody notes, right?
Yeah. Right.
But yeah. And you also have to remember that, like, on Fragrantica and Perfumo, these guys don't want to give away their recipe. So two aspects of that is, number one, a lot of times the note pyramid is wrong, or it's empty of a few special notes that they put, or raw materials that they put in the fragrance, because they don't want somebody to copy the DNA. So you can't always trust that stuff. You don't know the percentages. Yeah, it's not like, and that's why Fragrantica allows you to vote on which notes in a pyramid you smell. So if you have an account on Fragrantica, it'll say, okay, the pineapple got 90 votes, but the oak moss got 2. Okay, so that means no one's smelling oak moss in this fragrance. So you really got to have your antlers open. You can't just see a pyramid and be like, I think I'm going to like that, because half the notes might not even be there. And when it comes to like Roja, who might have potentially 30 accords on the fragrance, you really want to see what everybody voted on, because you might look at that and notice that half the notes are virtually non-existent, let alone missing notes and stuff like that. So anyways, though, keep going, guys.
The only thing I was about to say is everything is synthetic. And I believe at the end of the day, it's going to be more and more of more fragrances being just truly synthetic. There's no natural. I mean, not saying that there's none. I have a few fragrances like Fern that use some naturals or what, but still there's synthetics in there. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that eventually everything is going to be to the point where it's just so regulated that we're just going to be getting, like, we get fake food now. We're going to get fake food.
Yeah, ain't nobody complaining about the McDonald's.
McDonald's, right? Get chicken nuggets, ain't chicken nuggets, but regardless.
They're going to start 3D printing fragrances around here, man.
Hey, look, they printing stuff out now, like actual bowls and stuff, 3D. So, I mean, it's just I could only imagine what is going to happen in the fragrance industry in the next 5 years. If it's moving like this, what are we gonna expect in 5 years? What is it gonna be? It's gonna be something wild.
There's gonna be DIY kits, make your own fragrance, and I mean, there's that now, but they're gonna make it even more consumer grade, where it's like, they give you 10 super cheap base notes and let you, go to town on it. It's really fascinating. But I mean, I like it, man. I'm like, I love when everybody gets included. You know, the
Yeah.
enthusiast down to the everyday guy, every price point, every background can get involved, because at the end of the day, fragrance is like art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it can do a lot for us, and that's why we have a lot of bottles, because every bottle comes with a different opportunity and a different
Heck
experience,
yeah.
and really quickly, you got to have it, right? Because it just does something for the mundane part of your life, where it just breathes life into your situation.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, we were talking about AI, man. I'm waiting for AI to create a 10-hour citrus fragrance, man. I mean, it's coming.
It's
That's
coming.
what we need AI for. We
It's
need
coming.
AI to get
Hey, Talisman
to
Extrait just came out.
Hey,
Hey,
that
man.
thing, hey, that thing is beautiful. It's beautiful. That's all I gotta say. And it's getting better and better. Fragrances are getting better and better. Think about it. Fragrances 10 years ago, right? Well, let me just say this. Hold up. Let me go back on that. Because I remember the EDTs used to be crazy back in the day. Y'all remember when EDTs used to be, that's what it was. It wasn't
Bro,
no,
Eros
it wasn't no,
EDT lasts 12 hours.
yeah, you remember? Hey, but
Oh, it
now you
does.
get yeah, but now you get an EDT. That mess lasts like 4 hours, maybe less than that, you know? So, I
Heck
mean,
yeah.
there's good, bad, and ugly with everything. It's going to be good, bad, and ugly with fragrances as well. I just all overall, I just want them to. I want them to stop playing with the game of elixir, absolute,
Yeah. Yeah.
all of these
Extreme,
like stop playing,
intenso.
yeah, extreme, like stop it, you know. Oh, I added a little bit of spicy vanilla. It's extreme. No, it's
Yeah.
not. No, it's
Right.
not. You know, yeah, yeah. 55
Basically.
ml going for 180. Like this has got, you know, now they're taking advantage. So I hopefully we see some better change. That's all.
People are lying. Like like when you look at you ever see the eau de cologne, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, they don't give you a percentage sometimes. They'll give you a range.
Yeah.
They'll say 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 25 to 30. You might have
Yeah.
two eau de
Yeah.
toilettes where one's 20, one's 25. Is he going to go to jail because he threw 27% because he's like, yo, we finna get him? No.
Right.
So it's like, it's crazy, man. And then it's just, guys, you got to get into the decant game, man. We got to chill out. If the fragrance today, I'm fortunate to have a fragrance that just smells good. I give me an eau de cologne, give me a pure alcohol. I don't care if it smells amazing. I'm gonna make it stretch, and we'll do
Oh, yeah.
another. That'll be another conversation. How you make your fragrances pop. We'll get together and do that. That'll be a good time.
Oh,
Before
yeah.
I close out, any last words, guys?
I want to let you go, Kicks, because I always have last words. So
Last word this time. No, honestly, man, it's been great. I have no last words. Thank you both for allowing me to come on. This was a healthy conversation. Hopefully, we can get a part two going, man. But very insightful, SB, man, and that's that. Y'all know where to catch me at. You know, Kicks Griffey on YouTube, KGA_365 on IG, and y'all to the next one. Yak Mom.
Gator, what about you, man?
Hey man, I just want to say, man, the game is changing. Everybody's, kind of looking out for the next big thing. Well, the next big thing is literally here. You know, you've got AI, you've got all of these different things that are going on right now, man. And I look forward to the ride to see what it's gonna do. As long as the Terminator bots don't come up the street, I'm all for AI. You know, I think it's gonna help as far as like the perfume game and the cologne game, and to be completely honest, probably bring the prices down a little bit, because there are some designer houses out there that are charging exorbitant prices for stuff that they could. And I'm looking at you over there, LV. you know,
Yeah.
but I'm the novice nose on all platforms, man. Holla at me.
Yep. Novice knows we got Kicks. I'm going to put all their information in the description below as usual. You have been tuned into the Frag Effect. We're going to make this a regular Sunday thing. I'm going to invite the community out to talk about all these subjects. Guys, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Did any of these facts stand out to you? Any in particular that you want to talk about? Give us your feedback in the comment section below. talk to us, we do talk back. And I'm also going to put some helpful links on the left and right of the screen here in a little bit that will have links to previous episodes where we got the young guys joining us and some of the other content as well. We hope you guys found this insightful, informative, and entertaining. And we really appreciate you guys all. Hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week. And until next time, y'all have a wonderful night.